Okay, today it's time to replace several parts on my everyday carry Glock 19. As luck would have it, the round counts just added up to, it's about time to do a lot of them instead of just, one or two. So this is my 7th Glock 19, and I generally replace them when I get to around, 45 to 55,000 rounds. So I've only had this one for a couple of years. It has just over 26,000 rounds in it, but today I'm going to replace the recoil spring, which I do every 5 to 10,000 rounds, just somewhere in there. The slide lock spring, which do every about 10,000 rounds, and the mag catch spring, which I do about every 20,000 rounds. The locking block pin, which I do about every 20,000 rounds, and then the trigger spring, which I do every 10,000 rounds or so. So let's get everything going here, get everything out of the way. So we got a lot of work to do on the frame, so I'm just gonna set the, the slide aside for right now. And I'm just gonna take all of this apart because almost everything is gonna be replaced here. And I'm gonna try and stay in frame. I apologize if I go out of frame for a sec. I can't really see all the time what I'm doing on camera. So I'll check every once in a while, but we'll see what I can do. All right, so there is the basic stripped frame. One of the things I got to do is replace the trigger spring here. So let's pull this out, trigger bar, and there's the trigger spring. So I've had this in there for about 11,000 rounds, which is a little too much. And I'm just going to clean things up while I'm in here. Got a good inspection. Okay, so let's throw this guy away and get the new trigger spring. And the way you put it on is like an S. I don't know which way is facing up for you guys, but to where the spring openings, it actually makes an S. So you're going to go down onto your trigger housing here. And then up and over into the area of the trigger bar. And there we go. And one thing I'm going to make sure to do, put a drop of oil on there. And that's done. So now the trigger spring is replaced. Set that aside. Let me set it over here. So the next thing I'm going to do is this slide lock spring. It's this little strip here. It's like a leaf spring kind of a thing. And so what you got to do is you got to take out people call this the takedown lever or whatever. It's actually the slide lock. And so you press down onto the spring with your Glock tool, and then this will just fall right out. And so now you can get this spring out, but you got to have some needle nose, or at least I like to use needle nose. And there we go. There's the offender. Let's get the new one out here. And it goes just right down into a little slot. Guess that's it. And I don't know if you can tell, but it's sticking way up high in here, whereas the one I took out was still laying really low. So that's how you can tell that spring it's kaput. In fact, probably not a few more rounds, and my slide would have shot off the end of the gun because the spring would have broken. So, and to get the slide lock back in, you take the side with the groove on it facing you as you're holding the gun. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to press down on the spring, and this is where we lose a lot of spring sometimes, so I'm going to try to do it right. Press down, and then slide it in, and we're good. So there's the slide lock spring. Set that aside, throw that away. What's left? Oh, so the mag catch spring is something that I've broken it around 30,000 rounds before, and I do a whole lot of, reloads, mag changes, whatever in training. Like every day that I'm training, I'm doing a bunch of those. So this spring for me probably gets worn out a lot sooner than it does for maybe, for other folks. But if you train a lot, you need to replace that thing. So to get that, I need to get a screwdriver, and I'm going to get down in here, I don't know what you can see here, and I have to move the spring over to get it out of this mag catch lever here. There we go. So now it's up and it's available to me, and I'm going to take needle nose, and there it is. Yeah, and it is a little bent. It doesn't roll true. Let's get the new guy. Notice my hands are getting a little dirty. I did clean my pistol after I trained a couple of days ago, but I haven't done a detail training. A detail cleaning. Where I take, the gun completely apart and clean every little piece, every little part, about every 1,000 rounds or so. I haven't done that here in probably almost 1,000 rounds now. So anyway, I'm getting a little dirty, no biggie. So let's take this and now it's seated. And now I gotta push it over and get it into the mag release lever here. And we're good. And so now my mag release works good. So that's the third part. So the fourth part is the locking block pin. It's the pin that holds this locking block in here. First of all, throw this away. And I'm actually going to clean this up just a bit before I put it back in. Take advantage of having it out of the gun. Grime gets in the locking block pin groove here. So I want to get that grime out of there. And in fact, it gets all over it. All right, that's looking a lot better. So I'm going to start reassembling so I can put it in the right place, the right time. Here we go. The next thing then is put the locking block in. And the locking, so here's the old locking block pin. And it was the original one. So I'm a little late in replacing this. So here's the new locking block pin. And all these parts, by the way, are Glock OEM parts. And I recommend for all of the things that we're replacing today, only Glock OEM parts. Especially when we're talking about pins and this recoil spring. I'll talk about that here in a minute. So anyway, I got the locking block in. So locking block pin goes in and gets evened up. So that's the new one. And we get the slide stop lever goes in. And once we have that, we can put in the trigger pin. Gotta sometimes wiggle the slide stop lever to get it in there. Okay, so throw this guy away. So the last thing is a recoil spring. When I started shooting Glocks some years ago, I tried all kinds of aftermarket recoil springs. And every single one of them from every different company I bought broke within 1,000 rounds. And that is 100% unacceptable because Glock means reliability. And so the only spring that has never ever broken once has been Glock OEM recoil springs. And so I recommend, this is a Gen 4, by the way, Gen 4 Glock 19. I recommend that you use only Glock OEM parts, and especially your recoil spring, because the others will break. I've never used one that didn't break. I think I tried 6 or 7 different kinds, you know, like heavy steel tungsten rods and other, you know, all metal aftermarket and other sort of combined media, straight rod and these dual springs or whatever from other companies. Every single one of them broke. So anyway, let's don't do that. So now for the past, I don't know, a bunch of years, only use Glock OEM recoil springs. What happens when these things wear out is you start getting stovepipes, failures to extract, failure to feed, that kind of thing. So every 5,000 to 10,000 rounds, replace this guy in the trash for you. So now we're done. That was the last spring, and put that up. So all there's left to do is to reassemble the pistol. Yep, everything works great. Ready to go.